and welcome everyone. On behalf of SASCOM, I would like to welcome all of you for our first seminar in our seminar series that are going to be conveyed by SASCOM over the upcoming months. So today's topic is a very exciting topic. It's going to be titled about the growing together of the Saudi Arabian Society for Composite Material. This topic will be given by the chairman of SASCOM, Professor Gilles Lobinot. Professor Lobinot is a professor in mechanical engineering. He's the director of the Composite Lab in KAUST. Also, he's the associate dean of the PSC faculty at KAUST. So without further ado, Professor Lobinot, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Moa. So first, let me welcome everyone for this first seminar of the Saudi Arabian Society for Composite Materials. So this is something that we have talked about for a very long time, and we are very happy with all our Saudi partners that this is coming to life. So today is more an introduction seminar to make sure that for all our members, we know what is this about and what you can expect from this society and how we are going to get organized over the next cycle. So thank you very much, Moa. Can you see my screen correctly? Just to double check.
Yes, we can see you.
Okay, very good, thank you. So the Saudi Arabian Society for Composite Materials, as I said, I mean, the point today is not to go through a scientific seminar. We will go through plenty of scientific events over 2021, 2022. The point is to explain to you what is really the scope of the society, what are going to be the very short-term activities that are going to benefit to the faculty or to the students who are registered, and what is our vision. So this is a very classical learned society at the beginning. So SASCOM is here to encourage the exchange of knowledge and information on all aspects related to composite materials and non-metallics. So our point is really to be able to promote both national and international collaborations related to composite materials, to develop and to promote an educational offer related to composite materials. So education is going to be central, is going to be a key point to this society to make sure that we disseminate knowledge and we increase the training in a workforce at different levels, from the technical to the research level when it comes to composites, to nurture an effective environment for innovation and creation of value, to support our partners by providing expertise on composite materials. So you will see that we have also a track on this that is about providing expertise that can be required or needed for our industrial partners, and then different kind of roles. So first, before we go too deep into the different activities, what is really who are really the people behind SASCOM? So I need to recognize all these people who, from day one, participated with me to the creation of the society. So as soon as the formation of the initial committee, so we took excellence as a principle. If you go to our website today, you are going to discover our scientific committee that is still growing, but you will see that you are going to recognize some of the most prominent experts when it comes to composite materials there, either on the national scene or on the international scene. So you have people who are involved in Saudi industries like SABIC and Aramco, or you have people who are coming from our partner Saudi institutions, from KFUPM, from Yanbu Institute of Technology, and so on. Our people are coming from an international background. So, for example, you have Professor Jin Songlen from Harbin Institute of Technology, Professor Kamano from University of Porto, Professor James Cantwell, Wesley Cantwell, who is coming from who is the director of the Aerospace Research Center. So all these people, they are working together with me to define what is going to be the academic path and the scientific vision for the society, and also to benefit and to share their network with you to make sure that this society will bring as much as possible to its members. So these are the people in the scientific committee that is still growing, and you have a core of people who are working more on a regular basis, almost on a weekly basis, to make sure that we are developing some offering for you. So I want to recognize especially these 5 persons. So Dr. Khaled Al-Muhammadi from Aramco, Professor Majid Al-Rafael from Yanbu Institute of Technology, and Professor Dr. Yudanto Moha, who is introducing this seminar, and Wiping Sheng, who are all part of my lab, that is the laboratory mechanics of composites for energy and mobility, and we are very happy to welcome you in this society. So, what about the composition of the society, of the members of the society as today? So, as today we have a society that is still very focused on academia, because let's say if you look at all our members, we have 83% of our members who are coming from academia, 12% from industry, and 6% who are coming more from, let's say, national institutions in between academia and industry. And if you look at the academic record of the members, what we are pretty proud about is that this is a good share between very senior people, faculty, 50%, and then people who are going to start their academic careers, postdoc and students who are a good share of the society. And then if you look at the international impact of the society, these are today's the geographic distribution of the members of the society. So you see that we have already members in North America and quite a lot in Asia. So the next step is going to expand more towards Europe and so on. But I mean, we have a quite international footprint based either on international members or also on Saudi nationals who are dispersed worldwide in different institutions in Asia or in America, and who wants to join the society. So what is our final objective for this? It's really to be able to discuss and to join with the other big international societies that we know on composites, so like the European Society for Composite Material, the American Society for Composites, or the Japanese Society for Composite Materials, that are the three main societies when it comes to composite structures and composite engineering. So this is going to be the fourth one that is going to partner with all these members, because we have very tight connection with these three major societies. So why joining SASCOM? So I want to give you a quick overview of the different activities that we are going to offer and we are going to cover during the year. So first main activity, so it's about education and knowledge. So education and knowledge is something that is really central to what we want to do. The point is really to develop an environment to disseminate knowledge about composites, and this is going to be done at the beginning through what we call SASCOM masterclasses. So that means you will get access to a set of masterclasses on different topics. So these are going to be either online or on-site classes on both generic and specialized topics for composites. So we are developing a portfolio now at very different levels that can start from introduction classes to composites at the technician level or undergrad level, up to very high-level classes on very specific topics given by international experts. So don't be surprised if some of the classes are going to come over the year. Some of them might be very basic because they are targeting people who start in the field, and some of them might be completely advanced. Of course, the population and the type of people who are going to register and are going to attend to these different classes are going to be different. But we want to span over the full spectrum to make sure that we target all these people. All our classes are going to be delivered by world-class researchers or engineers who are extremely active and visible in the field. So this is something that we are going to be very strict about. We want that the people who are giving the classes are actually people who are very visible, so you can benefit from the network and you can connect with them, and step by step, seminar after seminar, you can build your own international network about composites in different backgrounds. And of course, all our members are going to receive certificates at the end of the modules when all the requirements are completed. So just to give you an example, so these are going to be the first classes that we are going to offer. So starting next month in November, and then continuing in January. So the first one in the fall 2021, so on November 2nd, 9th, 16th, and 23rd, is going to be about a basic introduction course on composite materials. This will be given by Pedro Camano and Albertino Artero. So probably some of you know them because they are extremely well-known researchers when it comes to laminated composites, damage mechanics, and integrity of composites. So if I go to this, just for you to know about this first lecture, so you can register if you want to register. So the first lecture is going to be about basic of composite, properties, constituent, type of matrices, fibers, interface, semi-products, type of process for thermostat, process for thermoplastic, additive manufacturing, effect of manufacturing defect. So this is going to be a 2-hour class about really the fundamental of composites. So this will be on November 2nd. Then on November 9, we will go through a second lecture that is about mechanical behavior and characterizations. So properties of composite systems, how to evaluate, how to measure, how to qualify composites, how to characterize mechanical properties at the different scales, constituent, fiber, matrix, interface, and what are the type of standards that we are using in composites to make identification and characterization. Then the third lecture on November 16 will be on classical lamination theory. So something that is like a fundamental tool for any composite engineer. So laminate stiffness, stiffness of general laminates, warpage, invariant-based approaches to stiffness. And finally, we will close this first cycle by a fourth lecture on November 23rd by a full class about design with composite materials. So we will cover failure mechanisms, failure envelopes, stress concentrations, and damage tolerance design. So we think that we wanted to go for this first cycle at the beginning because for plenty of students, and we know, for example, that we have a big cohort of students coming from KFUPM who start to get involved in composites at the undergraduate level. So we want to make sure that we have an introduction class to bring these people with us here and to get the fundamentals. Then this will be followed in the spring 2022. So as today, the dates are going to be January 25th and February 1st by classes that are more advanced on composite delamination, so on the specific topic of characterizations. So this will be given by Federica Taglia from INS Paris-Saclay, and she will cover everything that has to do with characterization of delamination in composites with the different kind of tests that you can do. The way you identify the energy release rate, the way you identify the quark propagations, and the way you identify all the composite properties related to delamination in mode 1, in mode 2, or in mixed mode. So so I wanted you to know about these classes because these are the ones that are already in the calendar. You are welcome to register to them if you are a member of the society. And these are going to be followed in spring 2022 by a series of classes that we are discussing now with our members. So we will continue this with some hybrid between academic courses. So that means courses on composite processing, on composite modeling for structural mechanics, on 3D printing and topology optimization for composites that are quite active topics. Some classes on aging of composite in harsh conditions that can be interesting for the oil and gas industry or biocomposites. And then we will have some classes that are more focused on special topics, and especially we will have classes on composites for hydrogen, because you know that composite technologies for hydrogen storage is gaining more and more visibility. Composites for automotive and recyclable composites and sustainability. So all these classes are going to be in the spring. So the fall is more going to be dedicated to academic classes, and then we will go more during the spring on classes or on societal topics or on industry-oriented classes. Right? So this is the first thing. That means educational offer. Then the second thing that we do in the society is to provide a hub for expertise and technology support. So this is what we call SASCOM experts. So this is something that is also very important to us, is to make sure that we have a contact point as a think tank who can provide expertise through a federated network of experts. So what I mean is that we have access to a cloud of people working on the full chain of composites, from polymer chemistry, polymer physics, to composite mechanics and engineering, experimental mechanics, standard, computational mechanics, integrity. All these people have a tremendous expertise, and they represent a very diverse expertise that can be useful for many projects, either in the kingdom or outside of the kingdom. So we are willing to serve as a bridge to identify external experts to be able to bring you the right people if you need to be connected to some people. So that means we are committed to help our partners to organize on 3 different points, to organize specialized teaching and learning cycle to provide their personal the cutting edge experience. So what I mean by this is that if you are running a specific industrial project and you realize that you need to upgrade your engineers or your personnel on a specific point, we should be able to provide you the right people to do this. We are going to identify the relevant expert to unlock highly specialized technical aspect of the project. So typically, if you need people on very specific topic, we can connect you to them. And we are going to support on improving the technology by proposing multidisciplinary approaches based on these broad networks. I think this is one of the strengths and of an academic society is that this gives you access to a very wide diversity of backgrounds. So not only your immediate expertise, if you are a chemist, if you are a physicist, or if you are mechanicians, but people are coming really from different backgrounds and who can work with you with a common understanding of what you want to do. So this is something that if you go to our website, that is you see that there is a full page about composite expertise. So if you want to reach us, you can describe our project, and then we can try to find who are the right people to connect to. Then third thing, but not the less, but is also very important to us, is the creation of events that are going to support the creation of a network. But that means are going to help people to discuss together, and to start creating a common understanding about how they can share ideas and how they can share facilities or technologies to go to big projects, to things that they will not be able to do if they were isolated. So this is something that we are going to do for a track that we call SASCOM events. So SASCOM events is going to go through a couple of different activities. So SASCOM events, the first thing that we are going to do is to organize every month high caliber seminars on composite related topics. So this is a little bit different from the classes, because for us, the point of the classes is to share know-how. That means that again, at the end of the classes, you get an expertise, you know how to do something. The point of the seminars is not really this. The point of the seminar is to make sure that you discover leading experts, or you discover topics that maybe you are not expert about, but at least we open your mind on a different type of technologies. So these are going to be classical seminars, 45-minute seminars, each first one day of each month at 5:30 p.m. KSA. And here again, the objective of the society is really for all our students to make sure that we develop a network and we connect them to the best experts worldwide, because this is going to be important in their career. So the seminars is also a very good vector for this. So there is the introduction seminar today. The next seminar is going to be the first Wednesday in November. So this will be on November 3rd, and will be given by Professor Cugnoni who got his PhD from EPFL, from École Polytechnique Fédérale de Lausanne in Switzerland. And he is going to discuss about something that probably some of you know, that is about thin ply technologies. So that means specific composite structures that are used when we want to increase the integrity and reduce the sensitivity to cracking in composites. So that will be a very good seminar given in November. Here again, we insist on the quality of the speakers. Joël, for example, was a plenary speaker as one of the main composite conference two months ago. So all the speakers that you are going to get in the seminars are going to be at the caliber of international plenary speakers or keynote speakers. The next seminars that is going to be in December, the titles still need to be confirmed, but it's going to be given by Dr. Nikhil Ferges, who is corporate fellow at SABIC. So he will share with us his visions about the integration of composites and the expansion of the market and the need for new technologies from the SABIC point of view. So this is going to be also a great seminar that is going to help bridging a little bit what we do in academia and how we can see this from the point of view of a Saudi industrial company that is very successful on the industry, on the international scene. And this is going to continue like this over the spring. We already have a set of names for the seminars over the spring, but I share with you the two first today. Then second point that we are going to do is to organize the Saudi Arabian Conference on Composite Materials and side events that are going to be more specialized symposia related to composites. So here we are still at the beginning of this. We still don't have a date, but we are in discussions with different institutes to organize this in Kingdom as a collaborative effort between us and different universities. So stay tuned on this. When we are going to have more precise plan on this event, we are going to come back to you, and all our members are going to be the first invited to this. And then the third point that you are going to get in society is that we try to be as much as possible part of the organization of major events in the composite area. And of course, our members are going to benefit from this. So for example, we organized in the spring the Future Composite Workshop here. So that bring here 25 speakers, but whereas some of the more prominent scientists when it comes to composite technologies. And we are part in the spring 2022 of the organization of the Middle East Engineering and Technology Conference and Exhibition organized by Aramco. And in this one, there are 4 tracks. So one track about decarbonization, one track about circular economy, one track about non-metallics, and one track about the fourth industrial revolution. And we are in charge of the non-metallic track. So here again, I think this is a guarantee that we have a good visibility for the society, and this is something that is going to serve day after day our students and the members of the society. This is going to create networks and a way to share knowledge. So how to find us? Because I continue in the description of the society and how to register. So this is quite easy. This is our website. I'm not sure that all of you know about this because you got the communication today via email or by Twitter. So if you go to www.sascom.org, you will get the website of the Saudi Arabian Society. And here you just need to go to the membership webpage, and you will see that you have the choice between different membership. But so far, membership is free for 2021-2022. So it's the right time to join for this year. You can join us also on Twitter, just to highlight this one, @Saudi Composites. So we have the official Twitter of the Saudi Arabian Society, where we communicate some information coming from us and from our different academic partners. So this is the framework of what we are trying to do. So I hope that you realize that this is a quite bold effort, and I think that this is one of the first time where we try to have something that is going to bring all people working locally in composites in a common environment, so we can share our expertise. We can provide a good environment for all our students and collaborators to make sure that they can expand their career, they can develop their network, and they can have access to a wide educational environment that is going to provide this, that is going to promote this community of let's say composite-related engineers and expansion of composite in the kingdom. So this around this society, what we would like to do is to develop collaborations, the collaboration between us and both academic and industry partners, but also collaboration between partners inside the kingdom. So I wanted to list here a couple of opportunities for collaboration. So composite, as you know, composite materials and associated skills will have a very important role to play in building the economic diversity of the country. I mean, composites are a little bit everywhere. If you look at composites from a very wide point of view, you know, composite goes from many different systems, from structural composite to flexible electronics to composite for energy. So that means there are plenty of industrial fields that are going to benefit from such an initiative. So I just want to remind a couple of fields on which we will have to develop an educational offer, and we will have to develop some connection between members. So the first one is appearance, and this is more based on Aramco effort that is trying to push in this direction. about the development of large volume markets for petrochemical based products. So, there is a need for creating large market for polymers and composites. And here, markets such as packaging, like films or civil engineering, and especially rebars, or like automotive industries, like frames or wide body concepts, all these fields are things that are going to expand. They are not going necessarily to use the most advanced composite, but these are representing huge markets and huge volumes of materials for which we will need to develop skills for technicians and engineers. So, for example, if you look at our team, so the team for composite for energy and mobility, when it comes to this track, we are working a lot about the improvement of secondary bonding. That means the way you are bonding composite structures together, and the way you are getting better integration of composites instead of going through classical junctions. So you know that adhesive bonding, for example, is something. So secondary bonding is something that is very important from metal to composites, from composite to composites, but in very different fields, in aeronautics, in civil engineering, in wind energy, in automotive industry. And today, most of the composite bonding is made by using very conventional fastening technologies. So typically using rivets or bolts. And these are creating a lot of stress concentration, weight increase, non-optimal solutions. So there is a huge need today to move to new solution for bonding of composite parts. And one of the expertise of the team is to work on adhesive technologies. That means how do you use only adhesive without mechanical interlocking, to join composite structures together. So these are typically innovations on which we can work all together. When the team, we work on three strategies that are about going all about bringing progressivity to the failure, because you know that the main problem in adhesive bonding today is not the intrinsic performance. That means we can get quite good adhesive joints today. The problem is that these joints are very brittle, and when they start to fail, they experience an unstable failure. So the whole strategy here is to make sure that we bring progressivity in the failure of the joint. So this, we do it in different ways. In our lab, we do it by controlling the local morphology of the failure, either by structuring the adhesive substrate interface. So you will see that this is a way to control the mechanism of failure and to bring progressivity, either by structuring the adhesive itself, and the adhesive can be structured either by an additive approach. So this is typically by using hybrids of thermoset and thermoplastic materials in the adhesive. So there are plenty of research in this, or by structuring the adhesive by a subtractive approach, and especially by introducing sacrificial quarks in the joint, so you control the mechanism of failure. So without going too much in the detail of the science, these approaches are quite new in composite, and they allow you to control completely the way your composites are going to fail. So here you have some pictures of delamination. That means separation between substrates in composite that have been treated with special interfacial treatment. So you promote some mechanism of failure, and especially the formation of ligaments at the interface during the secondary delamination. And this, you see that the effect of such heterogeneous treatment is to improve the toughness of the material by a ratio of 2 to 3. So that means you get a huge improvement in the dissipation during the failure of your composite, only due to the introduction of this surface treatment, and especially with non-uniform surface treatment. So there is a huge direction of research here, but that is perfectly in line with everything that has to do with additive technologies, because you can even control this more when you go to additive manufacturing. So these are open paths on which we can work all together, and you see the effect of such technology when you go to real mini structures. So, for example, stiffeners for aeronautics. If you look at the failure or the delamination at stiffeners in aeronautics, but you get an improvement using these technologies with the green curve compared to the baseline black curve here. That is truly impressive. And this is clearly related, each improvement here, each step of improvement is clearly related to the progressive failure, of the different ligaments that are introduced by the surface treatment. So this improvement of joint are things that we do in the lab by introducing heterogeneity, or by introducing also hybrid between thermoset and thermoplastic, so the same type of hybrid joints, by merging together a specific architecture of thermoplastic composite and thermoplastic polymers and thermoset polymers in the adhesive bond lines. And the whole point is to make sure that you get stable joints that you can use for complex composite structures. Finally, exactly the same idea, but using sacrificial quarks. I was telling you at the beginning that you can improve this kind of joint by 2 techniques, but here, in this technology here, we are introducing sacrificial quarks. That means pre-quarks inside the adhesive joint from the beginning, and these sacrificial quarks are a way to make sure that we are guiding the formation of local ligaments and an improvement in the toughness, in the dissipation during the delamination. And here again, these are exciting direction of research on which we can work all together. The second big industry domain in which there will be some needs for collaborative effort and in which there is an open wheel of collaboration is everything that is related to dedicated composite solutions for oil and gas. So you know that there is a strong will today to expand the use of different type of materials and especially thermoplastic-based composites for the application especially in pipe systems, but with an enhanced and augmented operational envelope. That means to go to higher temperature and higher pressure, because you obviously have already thermoplastic pipe on the market. But the point is to make sure that you are going to be able to use more of them at higher temperature, higher pressure, at a cost that is still reasonable. So there is a lot of research to be done in this. And there is also a lot of research to be done when it comes about composites for extreme environment. That means especially when you go to extreme, to subsurface operations, you go to ultra high pressure and temperature. And here there are not so many things that are completely known about the response of these materials and how you can optimize them for this environment. So this is something also in which we have a strong role to play if we put all our effort together. The next thing that is going to be important for the kingdom is going to be everything around advanced application, and especially aeronautics and aerospace programs. So you know that there is a strong will to develop more local technologies when it comes to this field, and composites, of course, will have a strong role to play here as primary structures or secondary structures, but also in the development of automated system, and especially robotics and soft robotics. So when you go to robotics itself, it's not so much about composite, but soft robotics is a lot about composite, because it's a lot about smart materials and multifunctional materials that can be multi-stimuli responsive. So that means they can respond to different stimuli to operate quite complex operations. So soft robotics is typically a field that we are going to cover also in the society. Quite important things. Then, so soft robotics, typically what we can expect in this is that, you know, there is soft robotics today is still at a very native stage. You know, most of the soft robots today are based on using pneumatic-based technology. So that means you are using special architecture that are going to get pressurized. So you are using pneumatic actuators. So these are some very well-known soft robots that exist in the literature today. All of them are based on a deformable skeleton or deformable structures that is going to be activated when you increase the pressure, when you pressurize different chambers in the soft robots. And this kind of technology results in bulky and complex wiring system, because you need to make sure that if you want to activate a complex soft robots, but you need to have pressurization systems and multiple channels, and this is always a path to lack of integrity. So typically what we do in the team here, when it comes to this specific track, is that we are trying to get exactly the same thing, but by using fully electrical system. That means we try to get the same level of soft robotics, but by using a full electrical actuation and full electrical control. That is quite difficult to achieve, because of course we don't have the same kind of actuators when it comes to low power electrical actuation. So what we do here is to develop concepts that are 100% based on phase transition. That means if you want to create a soft robot, what you want is to have the prerequisite is to have a large actuation. So the best way to have a large actuation is to start from something in liquid phase and bring it to gaseous phase. So at least you can have a large motion of your system, right? And this is something that should be activated for electrically. So this is quite obvious. I mean, what you need to do is to put some electrical power to get a Joule effect, and then from this to get some heat transfer. that is going to vaporize your liquid to gaseous phase. Right? But this is something that is easy on paper, but when it comes to a technology that can be responsive and operate at low power, it's a little bit more complicated. But these are typically the things that we do in the lab. So here is an actuator that is a very classical actuator, but is 100% electrical. And this is quite challenging to get this level of motion with 100 level electrical actuators. You cannot do with this with classical piezo fibers or whatever. This is really based on the phase transition in these different chambers that is activated by using special electrical forms that can vaporize the fluid inside this. So there are plenty of exciting things to do in composites when it comes to soft robotics too. Another field that is going to be important and in which we can probably work all together throughout the kingdom is a composite for renewable energy. So different fields of renewable energy, a composite for solar cells. There is a strong need for new substrate for solar cells, or substrate that are going to bring new properties with solar cells, or substrate that are going to bond in a better way to the different component of a solar cell. Composite for wind energy. So you know that most of the blades that you are using today for wind turbine, they are composite based. There are plenty of questions that around this blade, but one of the biggest one is about sustainability. It's about recyclability of these blades, but it's also about control. It's also about monitoring of these blades, and it's also about how do you integrate smart capabilities to these blades to optimize the performance of these wind farms. So these are open questions that should be tackled by a composite society, by a modern composite society, because they are very important for some modern system today. Composite for marine applications. This is also something that is quite important in Saudi Arabia, and especially for harsh environment in marine applications. So this is also a field that is going to emerge. And finally, what I wanted to cite is more a field that is maybe not well known by classical composite persons, but that is going to become more and more important is everything that has to do with composite with smart health, and especially the usage of flexible electronics for data collection in smart health, but also the usage of composite as a support for personalized medicine. So all these things are going to become important. So typically, if I take this picture from the well-known paper from Choi in 2015, you know that flexible electronics, what you put in flexible electronics, that means all electronic system that can sustain quite a large range of deformation. So they can adapt to flexible substrate, right? So this is typically what you find for smart health, because you are going to get pressure sensors, physiological sensors, temperature sensors that will be stretchable, that will be flexible, that can follow the motion of the human body, that can interconnect with biological systems via different interface between the electronics and the physiological environment. So this is something that is going to emerge a lot. And in which probably at the national level in KSA, we have a role to play, because there are plenty of people countrywide that are experts, especially in nanotechnologies, who can help a lot in this if we federate all together on this. So for example, what we do in the team here is, in the team, we work on two things, either ultra-sensitive sensors, so that means sensors with ultra-high gauge factor, or that means so sensors that are going to measure very small strain level, or we work on sensors that are completely insensitive to strain to make sure that we measure temperature or different kind of signal in a way that we are not polluted by the strain. So these are the two extreme of the bandwidth. But I will just show you an example of the type of sensors that we are developing here. So not the last generation, but the previous generation of what we developed was developed with this objective. That means we wanted to get stretchable sensors with high sensitivity. So that means a gauge factor that is well above 100, while most of the sensors, they have a gauge factor around 2 and well below 100. We wanted to get something that is highly stretchable, so something that can go well above 100% of stretchability for the application that we wanted to target, and with a linear response. That means something that is not completely nonlinear, so you have a regime of strain that is easy to measure, and then it's difficult to measure the rest. So these were the three requirements that we had for the technology at the beginning. And we try to look at this from a quite different point of view. We try to look at this from a quark structure point of view. So how do you bring usually, for example, sensitivity? How do you bring sensitivity to a strain sensor usually? But you are using tunneling effects. So you know very well that if you take a cloud of nanoparticles, at the end of the day, this cloud of nanoparticles that are conductive in a polymeric material is going to percolate. So what you see in black here is a simulation of the percolated network of nanoparticles in a loaded polymer. So it's impressive to see how many particles, in fact, are useless to the electrical signal, because all the white particles, they are not connected to the percolated clusters, so they don't conduct anything. So the black skeleton here is the conducting network, and you know that the conduction, the electron path between these different particles is realized by contact and tunneling between different nanoparticles, right? So if you want to jump from one particle to another one, you have to jump through the tunnel here. And you know that if you look at this from a microscopic point of view with some distance and some effective cross section, you know that you can, at a very, very low level, approximate this by a resistance of the interaction between the two particles. And this resistance is well known to change to be exponential to the distance between the particles. So this is the basic phenomenon that you are using in any kind of piezo-resistive nanoparticle-based sensors. That means you have a cloud of particles. This cloud of particles has some resistance, and as soon as you start to increase a little bit the separation between the particles, you will get an exponential increase in the effective macroscopic resistance. But this is not. This is something that you know is going to be not so much sensitive, because this is very sensitive when you are close to percolation. But as soon as you have a well percolated network, you are losing a little bit the sensitivity. And you have a piezoresistive effect that is not so big, so it's difficult to sustain a high gauge factor. So what we did in the team is to say, okay, when you look at the technologies that are using this, usually the gauge factor is relatively limited. So, for example, this is a coating of is a coating of carbon nanotubes on PDMS, and you see that you have a change of resistance. The sensitivity is usually achieved by the morphology of this network, but here you get a sensitivity that is limited with a stretch that is relatively limited. I mean, you have some sensors on the market that are also based on the metallic nanoparticles like this, but are using exactly the same concept. You can get a gauge factor of 30. But here you see that the stretchability is limited because you are working on a polyamide substrate. So you cannot stretch this, and as soon as you get a real separation of your particle, you don't have conduction anymore. So you cannot you cannot use as a sensor up to 50, 100, 150%. So the approach that we use here typically was really a mechanical engineering approach coming from composite. That means the point was to preserve to achieve the super sensitivity by using quarks in laminated structures. So this is something that really comes more from the composite world. And the point here is really to make sure that by introducing quarks into the structures, we can preserve the stretchability. So the quarks are going to help to the stretchability, but at the same time are going to bring the sensitivity. So this is an idea that was, if you look at this paper from Yamada from in Nature Technology, for example, the idea was already there by using, for example, a fluorescence of carbon nanotube, but they were using the fluorescence in the transverse direction. So you see the development of quarks here. So this is providing stretchability, but the sensitivity, of course, the gauge factor is very small, 0.02, because you have a very strong resistance in the transverse direction of the fluorescence of carbon nanotubes. You can find also the similar idea in this paper in Nature about quarks in metallic coatings, in which you are using quarks in very thin metallic coatings to introduce a piezoresistive sensors. So of course you can get a huge gauge factor around 2000, because the change in resistance of these quarks is going to be very big. But you have a very limited expansions because you are working on a PET substrate, and a PET substrate, I mean, is going to be relatively limited in terms of mechanisms for stretchability. So we did, for example, exactly the same thing, but we are using laminates with CNT papers, but in which we are introducing quarks by purpose. So typically, the type of sensors on which we are working are going to look like this. So that means we have CNT papers in which we pre-engineer quarks inside the CNT paper and embedded into a PDMS substrate. So if you look at this, the sensors are looking pretty much like this. And it's a CNT paper that is conductive, in which you activate quarks by pre-tension of the samples, quarks and local delamination. That means separation between the film and the PDMS substrate. And then following the activation, you can unstretch these sensors that are going to be used for strain sensing. So the thing that is impressive in this kind of sensors, when you look at the technology of these sensors, is that the gauge factor can be very big. So here, for example, if they experience a strain cycle up to 50%, you see that the resistance of these sensors is going to change from a couple of ohms to a couple of mega ohms, but without any loss of conductivity. That means you can, from the beginning to the end, control your sample, and this is typically the kind of response that you are going to get. Of course, when you look at this curve, it's not very linear. There is a strong variation of sensitivity in this regime, and one way to control the linearity is to control the morphology of the quarks. So if you go to the second generation of sensors, what we do is to control exactly the distribution of the quarks in the sensors by using a specific laser pretreatment, by introducing pre-notch. I mean, pre-quarks that are going to control where the quarks are going to happen. And by activating this, you see that you get sensors that are much more organized in terms of quarking morphology. And you see that you get a very good linearity of these sensors with a gauge factor that is around 40,000, so a huge gauge factor, and a stretchability that is going to increase with the number of quarks up to 150%. So what I want the message that I want to give here is that by using ideas and technologies that are coming more from the composite world, I think we have a big role to play in flexible electronics and the improvement of microstructures that are used as functional sensing structures for flexible electronics. So but it's already 6:15, so the point of today was not to go through a full seminar about the different technologies that we are doing here, but really the point was to motivate you about and to make you discover the effort that we are doing now about federating a network of experts for training and collaboration in GCC, but also beyond GCC, to convince you that composite structures can bring some solution to some societal needs, including energy and sustainability. That should be probably our main activity now. To raise that there is also it's also a very viable field for job and growth creation in KSA. And there is an urgent need for increasing the awareness and the know-how, the experience of the workforce and all the people who created this society. We hope that this network is going to be a great educational tool for the students and the young generation that start to work in this area. And finally, our vision in the 5-10 years is that if we are able to develop this educational offer, this society is going to be a big support for any kind of translational activities or facilities and collaboration between university and industry in KSA and GCC and beyond. And if we reach to that point by a couple of years, I think we will have do what we wanted to achieve by creating this society, Saudi Arabian Society for Composites. So I think this pretty much brings me to the end of the presentation. So the point today was really to give you a scope of what we want to do, to give you the first lines, the first timelines of what we will do over the next month. And the activities is going to go step by step. We are going to rely a lot on our members to generate cross offers and to co-organize events with us. So next big news is going to be an event that we will co-organize at the end of the spring with another Saudi university. But this is going to come when everything is going to be clear and organized. But I mean, this is something that will be advertised through our different channels. Thank you very much for all your attention during these 45 minutes. I really hope that most of you are going to join us for the society. I know that we already have online all our colleagues from KQPM who are now members of the society with us. But I mean, we are open to many collaborations and many suggestions for classes, for instructions, for seminars, for master classes and everything, as long as this is going to help to federate the offer in Kingdom around this activity. If you have any questions now, Moa, we can address them. And I don't want to keep people too long, but I hope we got a good introduction of what is going to be our activity and vision.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the nice presentation. There are a couple of questions here. I would like to address them. Yeah, hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much for the nice presentation. It was very clear and insightful. Looking forward to grow the society. I'm gonna throw up some question here for the one that quickly answered. Could be, are we going to give any certificate for the courses for the people who attend the courses?
Yeah, I mean, as long as the full attendance to the class, and I think all classes are going to be counted with a certificate, of course, because at the end, our point is really to make it. And that's why we are very strict about the caliber of the people who are giving the classes. We really want by a couple of years to stabilize this educational offer, and this becomes highly recognized classes in the field. So these are going to be sanctioned by certificates, systematic certificate at the end. Yeah.
Okay. There's another question here also that he's asking about whether he's able to join the society. Dr. Mohammed Al-Kandari from King Abdulaziz University. He's a mathematician interested in mathematical modeling, in multi-layer sandwich structures, linear elasticity, and solid mechanics. Is it possible for him to join the organization?
Yeah, so
yes.
You know, what is important for us in the society is that composite is a very diverse field, and we want to make sure that we are covering this diversity. So to be successful in a composite project, you will need people who work in more with a material science background, and people who know about polymer physics, people who know about polymer chemistry, people who are more pure chemists, people who are pure mechanical engineers, people who are pure material engineers, and people who are applied mathematicians, people who are coming for computer vision, also from topology optimizations, to design with us new microstructures for 3D printing. So there is a full set of expertise. I mean, covering people with very, very, very different backgrounds, who usually have a lot of difficulty to talk together, because this is usually the most difficult things, because, you know, depending on the background, sometimes it's difficult for people to discuss together. But I think if the society can serve this, this will really be an achievement for us. That means making sure that we are going to serve the country on different projects, and making sure that all the skills that are needed for this project are going to be assembled together, and we are going to be the glue to make sure that these people can discuss together and can work together on collaborative activities. Because if you want to do serious, for example, serious utilization of additive manufacturing today, for example, I mean, if you want to do a good additive manufacturing today, you need people from material science, you need topology optimization, you need mathematicians, and people who will work on damage factor mechanics, homogenization. You need people who are going to work on process monitoring, people who are going to work on defect inspection. And so all these people need to work together. And of course, as a mathematician, is very welcome to join and to share his expertise. Also, all our friends from nanotechnologies, for example, I didn't discuss a lot today about nanotechnologies, but there are a lot to do with nanotechnologies in composites, with integrated sensors, with modified nanomaterial for composite and for structural composites. We need to get all these people on board to make sure that they are going to share their expertise.
Thank you. There's another question also asking about the courses. Are they going to be free or paid?
So that's a good question. For the time being, what we try to do is to make sure that, and I don't really commit today about how long this is going to exist, but for the time being, we try to make sure that the courses are free for all our members. So that means that we collaborate with these people to make sure that we offer these classes to our students, to the students for free, because what is important, especially for me at the beginning, is to make sure that students get access to education without, let's say, financial limitations. Then this is going to be sustainable as long as we get a good institutional support, and I'm pretty sure that we are going to get support from our industry partners and institutional partners that are going to preserve that scheme. But to address the immediate future, that means these classes in November and January are going to be free for all the registered members.
Thank you. Great. One last question. So we're going to take it from Dr. Nauman Salah. He's asking whether we have any activity regarding 3D printing of thermoplastic in our lab.
We have some. Actually, we are just getting, I hope we are getting a new printer soon. But you know, activities of 3D printing of composite that can be very diverse, but we have some, and this is something that we can discuss. And what is even more important is to connect to other people in Kingdom that we know have activities on this, or to connect to other people worldwide who have activity on this. So there is a huge demand for this. That can be collaboration with us, that can be collaboration with many other people worldwide. So it's very, very welcome to connect to us, so we start exchanging ideas between us and all our members on this and collaborators.
So the last question would be from Zhao He. He would like to ask you whether any professor have they carried out or plan to carry out research working in development of pitch-based carbon materials such as carbon fiber, CC composites, specialty graphite, and porous carbon.
Yeah, so there is, I mean, not in our lab, but there is a group. There is a group that we know who is working on this. So here again, if you want to contact us, I'm very happy to put them in touch together. Our role is going to be really this, to make sure that we put people who want to do the same thing in contact together, so they can share their expertise, and then at the end of the day, they can make everybody benefit from it. So yeah, sure. Not in our group, but we know people who work on this.
Okay. There are a couple of questions also in the Q&A section, Jill, if you can just quickly answer them. So I think it's time. Thank you very much, everyone, for the attending, for the patient, and I hope everyone is going to be joining our society.
Yeah, so next event is going to be next month. So the seminar from Professor Cugnoni and the beginning of the series of classes by Pedro Camano. So November 2 and November 3rd, right? Next events.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Have a very good evening, everyone. And let's hope that we are going through a new journey and that is going to bring everybody together. Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.